By the early 30s AD, the emperor who had once marched proudly at the head of Rome's legions was a ghost of his former self. Tiberius, now in his 70s, lived almost entirely in seclusion on the island of Capri. His hair had thinned, his body weakened, and his mind darkened with suspicion. The man who had once conquered foreign lands now fought only against shadows. Shadows of betrayal, shadows of conspiracy, shadows of his own haunted past. The fall of Sejanus in AD 31 had been a turning point. With his prefect executed and his network dismantled, Tiberius unleashed a wave of vengeance. Those accused of supporting Sejanus were hunted without mercy. Senators, equestrians, generals, no one was safe. Families were torn apart, wives and children executed alongside their accused husbands and fathers. Ancient historians describe the streets of Rome running red with blood. The Senate House turned into a stage of fear. From Capri, the emperor orchestrated it all. Letters in his precise, cold handwriting arrived in Rome, commanding arrests, trials, and executions. The Senate obeyed without question, terrified of sharing Sejanus' fate. In this way, Tiberius ruled as though from beyond the grave, a distant figure who appeared less like a man and more like a grim god of judgment. But his vengeance came at a cost. The empire he ruled grew weary of fear. The nobility despised him. The Senate obeyed only out of terror, and the common people mocked him as a recluse. Rumors spread of his perversions on Capri, of feasts and cruelties beyond imagination. Whether true or exaggerated, these stories shaped his reputation. Tiberius, once a respected general, was now remembered as a tyrant. By AD 33, paranoia consumed him. Informers thrived, for a single accusation could bring down even the highest families. A senator might be condemned for a careless word, a general for showing too much popularity with the soldiers, a poet for writing a verse that could be twisted into criticism of the emperor. This constant climate of fear hollowed out Roman society. Trust disappeared. Families whispered only in private, and friendships dissolved under suspicion. Rome itself lived in silence, waiting for the old emperor to die. Meanwhile, on Capri, Tiberius lived in uneasy solitude. He spent his days studying astrology, consulting soothsayers, and reading Greek philosophy. He gazed into the stars, seeking patterns that might reveal his fate. Yet even the heavens offered no comfort. Each eclipse, each comet, each strange sign in the sky filled him with dread. He believed the gods themselves were whispering of betrayal and death. Still, his mind remained sharp and his authority absolute. Even in old age, Tiberius could strike terror with a single word. Servants on Capri walked with trembling hands, fearful of a glance that might mean execution. The island that once promised peace had become a prison, not only for those who served him, but for Tiberius himself. In AD 37, the end finally came. At the age of 77, the emperor fell gravely ill. He left Capri and traveled to Misenum on the mainland, where he stayed in a villa surrounded by his guards and attendants. Rome waited anxiously, for the death of a Caesar always meant danger. Riots, succession struggles, even civil war. Tiberius had no surviving sons. His chosen heir was his grandnephew, Gaius Caesar, better known as Caligula. 4 days, Tiberius lingered between life and death. On March 16, 37 AD, word spread that the emperor had finally died. Caligula, the young and charismatic heir, was hailed as the new ruler. The people of Rome rejoiced. After years of terror, a fresh beginning seemed at hand. But in a twist worthy of Roman drama, Tiberius briefly revived. His attendants, panicked, feared that the old emperor might recover and punish them for celebrating too soon. According to legend, the Praetorian commander Macro smothered Tiberius with blankets, ensuring that his death was final. Whether true or not, it was a fitting end for a man whose life was surrounded by suspicion. The emperor, who had once commanded legions across Europe, who had ruled the greatest empire on earth, died not on the battlefield, nor in the Senate House, but in a villa far from Rome, hated, feared, and alone. Tiberius' body was returned to Rome, cremated, and placed in the mausoleum of Augustus. but his memory was cursed. The people celebrated his death, mocking him as a tyrant. The Senate debated denying him divine honors, though in the end they relented. Yet no prayers were offered, no love was given. His reign, which had lasted 23 years, was remembered not for victories or prosperity, but for fear and cruelty. And so, the legacy of Capri lived on. The island that shone like a jewel in the Mediterranean became, in memory, the island of terror. Villa Jovis, with its gleaming stones and towering cliffs, became a monument not to peace, but to paranoia. The stories of Tiberius' dark pleasures and cruelties haunted Roman imagination for centuries, shaping his image as one of history's most infamous rulers.